Yeah. So good morning, everybody. I get the distinct honor of getting us going this morning, and I know it's really early, but I have a heavy topic for you. It's this. Brands outlive their demographics. We're all going to die. I'm sorry. I don't mean to. It's the nicest way I could think about saying it, is that you get to outlive your demographic. I think we should start using that as a new way to talk about it. And this is a really important piece of consideration, especially if you have an older brand, a brand that's 50 or 100 or 75 years old. You've already started to outlive demographics that once loved your brand, and so it means we have to find new people to love us. We have to find relevance with new generations, within new cultures, and it requires a lot of constant reinvention. For me, this was a piece of consideration and really sparked my curiosity. We were doing some work with the San Francisco Ballet. San Francisco Ballet is the oldest ballet in the country, and look, it's the ballet. They're not really for Gen Z and millennials. I mean, it's not like they're signing up in droves to go spend the night at the ballet when they have so many other things they could spend their disposable income on. So the idea of how do I make the ballet more relevant and meaningful to a new generation was a big marketing challenge and a product innovation challenge for the ballet. And it made me curious about what other kinds of brands have successfully done this. These brands are all, the youngest brand up there, Barbie, is 64 years old. Stanley's over 100 years old, so is the ballet, and the ballet as an art form even older. And so that means these brands have been through a lot. They've survived fashion wars, culture wars, world wars in some cases, and they've come through it and learned a lot, and along the way they have found new ways to find new relevance with new generations of customers. And so that's what, that curiosity has sparked a recognition, and that's why you didn't really hear it that loudly, but let's just be really clear. The best Queen song ever written is Somebody to Love, and we can fight about it later. But this is a line from that song, and I think it speaks really high volume to that idea of you're always trying to find somebody to love, and you have to reinvent yourself. And you have to figure out what are the new beats, what are the new moves, what is the generation doing, and how do I not stumble, and how do I find my way into it as a brand? So good news. I looked at a lot of these brands, and I figured out 3 moves, 3 beats that I want you to think about in terms of taking a brand that's 50, 100, 75 years old and finding new somebodies to love. The first is not going to surprise you. It's called innovation. Product innovation is a huge piece of anybody in this room's brand planning to continue to find new ways for your product or your service to be consumed. However, it's really important you don't lose sight of who you actually are when you're a storied brand, and that innovation has to feel true and authentic to who you've been in the past. The second, also not going to surprise you, but really important, is that we live in a culture of consumer participation. So, thinking about participation by inviting other brands in and collaborations, a huge piece. I'm sure we'll hear about those kinds of things today. But the other is recognizing that the world of our self-creation population, people who can do anything they want with your brand on their iPhones, means that you have to relinquish a little bit of control and accept the fact that your brand is now in the hands of consumers who get to do things with it. And that requires a slightly different sense of control over the brand. But the third one, if you have an older brand, is solely yours, nostalgia. Nostalgia is one of the most powerful tools in marketing. Our younger generations today are the most nostalgic of all the generations, and they really love this stuff. And here's the thing, only older brands get to do it. If you're a young brand, you don't get to be nostalgic, it's not authentic. So nostalgia is about taking those brand attributes, your charms, your rituals, your marks, your symbology, all of the cultural cues, whether they're visual or verbal, that you can bring forward and remind people and give them that sense of what it used to be like and how did that brand have a positive effect on your life. Older brands only get to do this, and so that means that young brands don't get to do it, and so take that to heart and let's do some things with it. So I brought a couple examples, as I've already teed up. So the first one I want to look at is Barbie. This is Barbie in the 1970s. In the 2010s, maybe a little bit earlier, Barbie was really struggling. It's not going to surprise you to know that. Who's the target audience for Barbie? No, moms. Moms are the target audience for little girls. But those moms used to be little girls, and they wanted to buy them for their kids. But moms, in the 2010s, were looking at Barbie going, man, that doesn't represent the ideals I want my daughter to grow up with. The blonde bombshell, right? That whole notion of being this idealistic body size, weight, this unattainable beauty, and it's coming face to face with huge cultural shifts, right? In our body self-image issues, and our authentic beauty moves, all of the things about femininity and the female empowerment smacked right up against the blonde bombshell. So what did Barbie and Mattel do? They did product innovation. I don't know if you know this, but in 2017, they built what was called the Barbie Fashionistas line. The Fashionistas directly addressed and tried to diffuse the blonde bombshell. We have Barbies with hips. We have Barbies that are tall. We have Barbies that are short, in different colors, different ethnicities. And this was a very dramatic move in the late 2017s to diffuse that blonde bombshell mindset and start to appeal to those moms who won't feel bad about using Barbie as an idealistic way to think about, you know, what does it mean to be a woman. Then comes Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie. And I go, hey, let's make a movie. Now, this has been in the works for a while, of course, because Hollywood takes decades to get these things moving. But it finally came to fruition in 2020, and the Barbie brand had to make a choice. They had to decide, does the idea of authenticity and going backwards and reinforcing the blonde bombshell help us more than doing authentic product innovations? And of course, we all know what the answer to that is, right? The answer is they leaned hard into the nostalgia of the Barbie brand. This was a feature film that took all of the things we associate with that time in our lives and put them on the stage frankly, in full-size, living, breathing storytelling. We got pink cars, we got dream houses, we got closets full of clothes. We've got all of the tropes that remind us of a period of time that only Barbie could really own. And then the other big move that they did is they said, every woman of every shape and size in this movie, they're all named Barbie. Everybody's named Barbie. Strategically reasserting and reframing, what does it mean to be Barbie? It's not the blonde bombshell, it's all women, all the time, everywhere. And this move allowed the Barbie brand to now be relevant to and relatable to not just moms who were thinking about buying it for their kids, but to all women across generations. And it was a great reminder and reinforcement of the power of a brand. Who's got one of these? You all, actually a bunch of you probably do, and you may not realize it. Exactly. Okay, so this is the original Stanley thermos. 1913, they invented the technology of the steel vacuum sealed container. Keeps hot stuff hot, cold stuff cold. That's what it does. Does it better than anything else on the planet. And then in the 2010s, even in the 2000s, we all started hydrating. Like, we're still hydrating. Everybody's hydrating. And what are we hydrating in? Stanley's looking around going, everybody's hydrating, and they're using Yeti? Like, what's up with Yeti? We can do that better. So they innovated, and they built what's called the Quencher. Keep in mind, we've got two main products we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the thermos and the Quencher. And the Quencher has a handle, and it fits in your cup holder, and it's got the straw built in. And it, by many, many measures, it's a as good or superior way to hydrate whatever you're doing. They sold some. It wasn't a blockbuster. Stanley makes about $75 million year over year in revenue off its product line. And then this happened. This is the Instagram post that changed the fortunes of the Stanley company. A little set of influencers called the Buy Guide had gotten a hold of one of these things, and they loved it. They loved this product so much, they gave it this endorsement. I don't know if you can read it all. It says, of all the insulated cups, this is the one, just trust. And they started to wax poetically about why this is a better one. The Buy Guide was so infatuated with it, they recommended it in all of their gift-giving things, and so they really started to drive sales, and the Stanley Group was paying attention to this. They're smart. They're paying attention to what's going on in social media. And here's what happened. The thermos still outsold the Quencher. They just didn't have the demand for the Quencher, so they were going to discontinue it. And the Buy Guide went to them the influencer, said, you have to keep making this product. It's the best thing ever. We love this thing. And they're like, yeah, we don't have the sales. Stanley said, I'll tell you what, you love it so much, why don't you become a wholesaler? Why don't you buy us out and then see what you can do with it? So that's what they did. They scrapped up their savings and they bought 5,000 quenchers and they sold them out in 5 days through their site. Stanley went, oh, wait a minute, something's going on here. This is good. We're using influencers. We've set up some demand on this thing. Why don't we try a little bit more? Let's try some different color lines. So they had an exclusive arrangement with the Buy Guide, this 3-person influencer group, to help launch and roll out new colors. They started with, there was like a sand beige one, and you know, many of you are nodding because you probably have them, and now you got 20 of them. So then they dialed it up. They dialed up the innovation. They had some fire underneath this thing. So you started to see all the different colors, all the different shapes, all the different ways that the thermos technology could be used to keep hot stuff hot, cold stuff cold. But they didn't forget who they were. That's the OG lunchbox shape. That's the OG thermos. It's now just in lavender. So they didn't forget what you associate from a nostalgia standpoint with the Stanley brand, but now it's been modernized. It's been reframed with color palettes, which are really simple moves. But here's the other thing they didn't forget. They didn't forget that what they're supposed to do is work really well, better than anything else. And the internet has become their friend. I'm going to play this video. This woman's car burned, and then she posted this.
Everybody's so concerned about if the Stanley spills. But what about if it melts? It was in a fire yesterday. It still has ice in it.
This became one of the most, this was a hot post for, talk about a product demonstration, right? To a socially savvy group of consumers who are paying attention to a new fashion accessory called the Stanley Quencher. It led to all sorts of collaborations. Stanley became a collectible item. Joanna Gaines, the Utah Jazz, we've got athletic wear, we've got, I'm forgetting the celebrity's name who did the purple one right now. Olivia Rodriguez. There's the Starbucks versions over there. They've done multiple. And of course, Barbie, right? Barbie's everywhere. So they have all of these fantastic new collaborations. They're just fueling and participating, and they're just feeding the beast. And so here's the lesson. The lesson is that what Stanley was able to do.
Okay, today is a major day because it's our first ad in any magazine, and it's in Vogue's September issue. It's our Stanley Love Shack Fancy. I'm so obsessed. It's so pink. I've worked in magazines for literally 8 years, and this is like a dream come true. And Stanley made it happen for us. Oh my God. It's so pink and so fun.
So when you think about it, I don't know who that company is that they ran the ad with, because that's not I'm not that demographic. I'm the one on the other side, right? What Stanley was able to do was not just appeal to new generations of users of the product, but to new genders, and to think about how can I make the leap. And a lot of that came down to, again, letting people participate with the brand, not losing sight of what innovation should be, and using a little bit of nostalgia to stay true to your roots and remind people the shapes, the colors, the icons.
Sales now?
Coming. I promise I will give you the results of these.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm glad you asked. The answer is $750 million.
Oh, wow.
From 75.
Yeah.
So there you go. I don't need the last slide. No, we're good. So this brings me to the ballet. So I'm learning all of these things. The team is working on it. And we're like, what are the moves we make? Okay, so here's the story with the ballet. The ballet itself, the San Francisco Ballet, lives in San Francisco at the intersection of artificial intelligence and the arts. And the ballet knew, if you turn the volume down just a little, please. Thank you, because I was just going to let it play behind you. This is the ballet itself. It's called Mere Mortals. Mere Mortals tells the story of humanity's dealing with artificial intelligence. Okay, that's the premise of the entire ballet. And the ballet is special because not only is it an amazing performance and a really artistic expression, it's all scored with electronic dance music. So it's EDM, and the composer is Floating Point, Sam Shepard. If you know EDM, he's one of the biggest names in EDM music. And so this is a massive artistic collaboration in the heart of artificial intelligence, in the heart of the arts, to an incredibly tech-savvy young audience in San Francisco. You can get a feel for how different the ballet might be if you go to see this performance. So we looked at all of the things that we had in our toolbox and said, okay, how do we start to create movement and buzz around this? And in September, which was about 4 months before the premiere, we knew that there was an EDM festival called Portola. And so at Portola, we leaned into nostalgia. What's the one thing we know about the ballet? It doesn't matter if you've ever been. It's tutus, and they're fun to wear. So we dropped thousands of tutus outside of the Portola EDM festival with little hang tags that teased a new ballet called Mere Mortals. We didn't tell them much more. There was a QR code you could go find out a little bit. And we got EDM participants go into the concert for 2 days dancing in tutus. It was a fantastic little piece of nostalgia, guerrilla marketing, but we didn't stop there. We thought, how else can we innovate? So the show itself is an innovation. What we did is we said, hey, could we use AI to market the promotion? So we did a promotional campaign. What we did was we trained ChatGPT. Let's all agree that ChatGPT is the celebrity as it comes to AI. So we used our celebrity AI. We trained it on what a ballet was. That was the first problem. The second one was, what's the storyline for this ballet? And we started to generate quotes. We started to generate reviews. The whole idea was, how could we get some reviews? This one says, Mere Mortals takes us on a riveting journey into a future where AI reigns supreme and humans are left questioning their relevance. Spoiler alert, humans lose. Bravo for the uplifting message. So we kind of tapped into this sarcastic sensibility, and this is a whole case study in and of itself that I don't have time to get into how we did this. What we ended up doing is we used those quotes as the promotional backbone of the campaign with some stunning imagery the ballet had provided to us. So amusing to witness humans grappling with their impending irrelevance. The score becomes the haunting melody of human surrender. We're tapping now into that cultural zeitgeist of the combat, the conflict that exists around the space. We did it everywhere, in out-of-home, in guerrilla marketing. We did it in the socials. We did it in the digital and the paid places. And then the other thing we did is we said, how else can we get participation in the brand? So we took a lot of those quotes and we converted them to binary code. So if you're a young tech-savvy audience, you know what that is. You know that that's binary code. And if you scanned it with your phone, you could translate that binary code, and it would be one of these quotes. And it just became yet another way to help the tech-savvy audience catch up to and start to think about, maybe the ballet is relevant to me. The way we would say it is, if we can convince AI that the ballet is for them, we can probably convince anybody. All right, so the first result, I'm just going to go backwards now on the results. First result was we quadrupled first-time ballet attenders for the San Francisco Ballet in January, which was a you don't have to applaud, but thank you. I appreciate the enthusiasm.
I said yeah.
You said yeah, baby. For Stanley, so that's finding new audiences, right? Finding new people to love us. That's a great measure. Here's the revenue measure for Stanley. They went from $73 million year over year to $750 million. And Barbie basically doubled its brand value between the time that they were trying to figure out how do they make a new line of Barbie dolls to let's just lean into nostalgia and work with Hollywood. And the results are just tremendous in all of these cases. Very envious. So I'm going to leave you with this, which is innovation, participation, and your superpower if you're an older brand is nostalgia. Find the right ways to use it, and you can find somebodies to love all over the place. That is it. Woo!